Welcome boys, I'm back and I'm here with another video. And today's video is gonna be a little bit different. As you guys can see, there's no charts, it's just me and you. So I just want to talk about a little bit more psychology, because yes, I have my videos on my trades and the recaps, but I don't really have a video of me speaking face to face like this, going like kind of in depth on the whole psychology and the whole journey of trading, right? So I'm going to cut it down to a few sections, and I'm going to be telling you guys what to expect when actually starting your trading journey, because I do have a couple mates that are starting the trading journey, so maybe this will be a little bit of a helpful video to get a bit of a grip and just a full understanding of the whole journey. And I'm basically posting this video so you guys know, and so I know, because as I speak this I also learn that you cannot give up. You cannot give up. Losses are normal, the wins are gonna come as long as you don't give up. You only fail once you've given up. All the losses, turn them into lessons. There's so many things that you have to do and you have to understand to become a profitable trader. So I've got a few things down on my screen to help me so I can fucking remember. So I want to talk about starting out and facing the losses, right? So starting out trading, you hear it's a big thing and you want to get into it. The market cap of money you can make is absolutely unlimited. So it brings that excitement of making money. And people fall into the wrong loophole of, this is great, you can make infinite money, I'm going to get in this and make as much money as I can, as fast as I can. So they start trading, they maybe start on a demo, maybe they'll start on a live account, put like 50 bucks, 20 bucks. That's how I started. I started doing a demo for a while, but then I started this with small accounts, $100, $200, all of that. And I'm trying to scale these accounts, and I'm sure many of people listening to this, or many people might even find themselves in the loop of trying to flip that $200 and make it $10,000, flip that $100, flip that $50 even, just trying to make it a little bit of money so you have a little bit of money to put back into the account. But you don't, that's when you gotta stop. You gotta breathe and you gotta realize, look, this is a trading journey. It's not a get quick rich scheme, and you will always learn that, because there's no way you can join trading and get quick cash. It doesn't exist. And the reason why it doesn't exist is because how the law of trading is set up. The law of trading that is set up, the market is trying to generate as much money as it can, right? So it's, in a way, in one perspective, it's out to stop you out. 99% of traders lose, so you need to find that edge that actually gives you that 1%. So when you first start out, you have to be calm and you have to realize it's not going to get rich. At least give it 3 years, like on the top of your head. Make sure it's going to take at least 3 years, 5 years, maybe even 10 years, but you cannot quit. You cannot quit, and I cannot stress that enough. So too many people go into fucking a new business, trading. They do something like e-commerce or reselling, and they do it for a little bit, and then they just quit. They say, look, I'm not seeing any progress. I don't think this is for me. And they start making up excuses because they're not feeling that dopamine that they did at the start. When you're starting something new, you're going to be excited because it's new. Us as humans, we naturally get excited, and we naturally have that dopamine when we're going into something new, especially if it's something new and completely life-changing. It has the potential to change your life. So that's how you got to kind of look at it when you come into the start. So you've got to make sure, this is a journey. This is not a sprint. You have to take your time, and you have to learn for good resources. So you start your trading journey. You're gonna hit a bit of a bumpy road. It's not just straight calm waves. No, it's none of that. You might start winning when you first start. There's a period, I can't remember exactly what people call it, but it's just like beginner's luck. Basically, they join. They start placing bets, which they don't even really know what they're doing, and they start making a little bit of money. And that's when the excitement goes even higher, right? So now they know they can get rich, and now they're seeing a little bit of proof from the little bit of profit they're making. They might be losing, but they might still be winning. And it's kind of a 50-50 game, right? Because they're kind of more so gambling. Like, maybe they haven't learned, like, risk to reward and all of that shit. So you're getting on and off all the time. And us as a trader, we are all going to go through this kind of loop, this section of trading. Anyways, so then you start losing. And when you're at such a high, because you're winning trades, you know the opportunity that you have, and then you start losing, from that being that high and crashing down here, that is not the best feeling. It's when the realization hits that, like, yo, maybe this is actually harder than I thought. Maybe it's not getting quick rich, easy. It's none of that shit. It's gonna be a hard journey of sleepless nights. And that's when the fucking light bulb goes off. And that is the first stage of when people quit. That is the first stage. It's from getting that dopamine when they first start. It's from seeing a little bit of wins and then crashing down and realizing it's much harder than they actually realize. So that's another stage where people start to fall down. They start to quit. You could say maybe sometimes 2 weeks into it, a month into it, 3 months into it, 4 months into it, maybe even a year. It's different for everybody, but maybe even a year. So that's the first stage that you guys have to, watch out for. It might be really exciting, but there's going to be those days where you're going to have self-doubt and ask yourself, is this really worth it? Do I really want to put in the effort? Or should I just cut the ropes now? Should I just go something new? I heard this new crypto thing, or this new shop's gonna go to the moon. So I'm gonna quit this, put all the work that I just spent for the last 3 months away, and start something new. And then they get stuck in that cycle, going something new because it's not for them. Blah 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 blah. Right? So don't fall into that cycle. Just a heads up. Some people have to actually experience it to understand what I'm talking about, and then they might watch this video later or a similar video and understand where I'm coming from. So some people unfortunately just have to go through the depths. They have to be thrown in the deep end of the pool, but it is all good. Okay, moving on to the next thing, right? So we've already covered beginning, starting to win, and then having that drop from losing. So when you continuously, learning the basics, you're learning, that technical analysis or whatever you're doing isn't the all be all, like there's still another side to trading that lots of people talk about, but not as often as they do about like technical analysis and all the fun stuff, right? When you learn about the psychology, now you learn about the psychology and what it actually takes to become a proper trader, like don't be greedy, don't overtrade, don't over risk, knowing when to take out, learning the risk management, revenge trading, fear of missing out the trade, all of that stuff. So you learn that, you backtest that for maybe a year and a half, and then you start to see a little bit of process. You start to see a little bit more gains. You're not winning as much, but you're not losing as much either. Now, this is what you call the break-even stage, or maybe like a 40% win rate, 60%, losses. So this is the break-even stage. And this is another one of the 3 stages that people start to drop. That people start to quit, and they think it's not for them. This is too much hard work. And maybe, is it even worth it? Am I even going to get profitable? Because they know in the back of their head, nothing at all is confirmed. There's no 100% that they're going to become a profitable trader. So they get that fear, they get that anxiety, and if you're not a disciplined person in real life, you're not going to be disciplined enough to stay in the trading game and, actually push through the hard times. You're not going to be able to push through the hard times because you don't have that discipline. So you start winning, you start losing, seeing a little bit of process going up and down, but you're still stuck. You feel stuck. You feel like, look, I know a little bit of everything. I know the basics. I'm winning some trades. I'm learning new things. But what do I do now? Like, how do I sharpen my edge? How do I do this and that? And you learn about, you have to journal your trades and take every loss and turn it into a lesson. And then you start, actually realizing that the most important thing is getting market experience. Well, that's one of the things that I realized. When I first started my trading journey, I was all sucked up. I'm happy I learned the psychology thing first, but I was all sucked up in learning the same old bullshit over and over again. Like, if you learn a fair value gap, it's not that hard. It's a fucking 3 candle pattern, right? It's a 3 candle pattern. And I would watch the same video over and over and over, which isn't really necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, like, you're kind of wasting your time. You don't need to learn that so much. And I fell into a loop that I was trying to learn and study hours and hours a day, but I realized that, this isn't even helping me that much. Like, what am I doing wrong? I'm putting in the work, I'm studying, but I'm still losing my trades. And that's when I took a step back and I realized, well, most important thing is, it's not what you know, but it's also how you perform. How you perform in the market. You might know how to be an extremely good fighter. You might be a really good trainer, but maybe you cannot fight. There's a difference between knowledge and actually putting the knowledge to work. And that's something that you have to understand through trading and through life. So I realized, okay, I need to get into the markets more. I need to watch the markets. What are the markets actually doing? I would sit there watching the market, just writing notes. There's pages like, oh, it's doing this and this and this. And then you slowly, after time of literally just watching it and placing little trades on it, you see patterns and your intuition starts to pick up on it more. You see that it's actually, you can have an edge on the market. You just got to learn how it works, how it moves, and, how to roll with the market. You know what I mean? So you start to journal more, you start to actually learn from the losses, you start to watch the chart, see how it moves, all of that good stuff. And you work on your psychology, you work on still working on, like, of course, all the technical analysis and all that stuff. And then you get to the point that I'm at right now. You get to this point where I'm at right now. And this point is the third stage of traders quitting. It is the third stage of traders quitting. So, what might I be talking about? So, you get from that break-even stage, and then you put everything that you learned together, the psychology, the technical analysis, and journaling, the live trades, getting your brain, like, hooked up with the market. Literally, like, hook it up with the market, and you're putting everything together. And then you start to see a little bit of profit, a little bit more. Instead of maybe like a break even, it's like 60, 65 on a good day, on a good week, good month, 70% win rate, and you start to become profitable. Now this, in my opinion, is the most exciting whole part of the whole journey of becoming a profitable trader. It's the day that you realize you slowly actually have an edge on the market. And you kind of know more what you're fucking doing. You're not just placing random gambles on the market anymore. You're not over trading. You're journaling your trades. You're putting in the reps. And it's actually starting to work out. Now, the reason why I bring that up first before jumping any further and not like being all excited about it is because that's not just the last step to becoming profitable. When you first become profitable, you can be profitable for a month. You've been profitable for 2 months, even 3 months, even 4 months. But if you have not actually experienced being profitable and then having a bad month or bad week and then market conditions change and you're not used to this, then that will fuck you right up. And that's exactly what it did to me. I was at such a high. After being at such a low for the whole time, going through the break even, not knowing what's going on, I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, being at this stage, just like, trying to think about how to say it. Yeah, you're just basically, being so low and now you're so high from seeing the profitability. You know what I mean? You're just feeling good. Because all you've been thinking about for the last 2, 3, 4 years is becoming profitable. And then when the time happens, it feels unbelievable. You will understand what I mean when you finally turn profitable. When you really finally turn profitable, it's that feeling that you've never experienced before. And it's a great feeling. So then you go and you're like, okay, I'm profitable. But then you have, like I said, a shift in the market play, a little bit, it's trading a little bit differently, and you have a bad month. Maybe the market's not good condition for your strategy at this time of the year. And, it just gets to that point. It gets to that point and you're like, okay, and you start self-doubt. Self-doubt just starts draining in. It just starts draining in and you're like, okay, wait, what am I doing wrong that I was doing? Like, what's going on? You're not really doing anything wrong because, you've proved to yourself over the 3-4 months of profitability that you know what you're doing. You didn't just get lucky. You know, you can't just say, oh, I got lucky, it still doesn't work, I'm going to quit. You know what I mean? You didn't just get lucky. It's full-blown proof that for a certain amount of time, you were profitable. Like, you can see it on your spreadsheets. You were profitable. And then you start having a bad month. A bad month, I learned that a bad month doesn't mean you're an unprofitable trader. It just means you had a fucking bad month. That's all it fucking means. You had a bad month. Maybe you tweaked something in your strategy that you need to put back. And that's what I did. I was trying to adjust my strategy a little bit to be more advanced. I moved a little bit too quick. I forgot a few lessons or some shit. I don't know. But I started losing my trades, going through bad weeks, bad months. And I really had to sit back and I really had to analyze, like, you know, why I'm making this video now from the start all the way up here. And I had to analyze every time I had a hard position in my trading career, every time it was really hard and I felt like giving up, but I didn't give up because I knew there was more to it than just giving up. You know, every time I got to that stage, I keep pushed through, you know. That's why I keep going. I keep going. And you guys have to keep going too. And then now I've sat back and I learnt the lessons. I learnt the lessons about like trading. You know what I mean? I've learnt the lessons and putting the losses and then learning from the losses. And now I'm at the mindset that I'm going to continue. And I'm saying this now before it even happens because I just had a really bad month. I'm saying this now. I know this month to come is probably going to be very good because I found what was going wrong in my trading strategy and I flipped it. I absolutely flipped it. I tweaked it and I fixed it because I learned from it. I didn't get emotional from my trades and be like, yo, fuck this, bro. This is bullshit. None of that. I learned because losses give you opportunity to learn. A loss is only a loss if you don't learn. Like, you guys actually have to drill that in your head. Because if you don't understand that, then you will never, and I mean never, be profitable. Because you cannot be profitable without a good, profitable trader's mindset. So, boys, that's where we're at now. I just wanted to make a little bit of a psychology video. Get it out there. Talk to the camera. Get used to it. You know, maybe we can spit something later on. At least if this helps one person, that's a success. So, boys, I'll be chucking this now, and we will be posting a trade recap for London session if we take a trade. And maybe if we even don't take a trade, I'll still post a video because it's good to learn not when to trade as much as it's, you know, learning when to take a trade. So, boys, I'm going to leave you at that. I hope you all have a good night. Remember, the journey is part of everything that happens is a part of the journey. If you give up, you will never, you got to think of your goals. Like, if you give up, then what? You know, I dropped out of school. I didn't have no plan B. I never had a plan B. I dropped out of school because I understood the system. And I hated the system. I hate the control in the system. I cannot be a person of slave. I cannot be a person that works your whole life. I'd rather be dead. And I've said it before. And I'll say it again. I would rather be dead than work a job my whole fucking life. Because that to me is not a life that I want to be living. So, as you guys know, just don't fucking stop. Because don't have a plan B. Because if you have a plan B, then you ain't want the plan A in the first place. So, boys, I'm going to leave you with that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.